Hi everyone, welcome to Selenium Training Day 1. This is Bakshu from ABSoftTrainings. I'm your instructor. So I will be the instructor for this course. So thank you for joining the session. So let's get started. So this is Day 1 training and these are the topics we are going to cover today. First, we will be going through course overview and then course details and any questions you have. Then we will start with automation and web testing basics. After that, we will look into Selenium. So let's start with the course details. So is my voice clear to everyone? Just reply in the chat window. Okay, that's great. And can you people see my screen clearly? No cluttering or no issues, right? Okay, so that's great. So in terms of the course, it is going to be based on Selenium, Java, Eclipse, TestNG and hybrid automation framework. We will be using, in terms of framework, we will be using page object framework, data driven framework, and then Maven, Jenkins. So all those comes in automation framework. Then the duration is going to be 6+ weeks. So it is going to be 1 hour a day and 5 hours a week. So we are expecting to finish by end of November. Based on how training is going and queries or doubts, it may be 1 or 2 days more, but you guys can expect to finish by end of November. So in terms of the course content, so we have total 25 chapters. First we will be starting with the basics, and then we will start with the TestNG. After that we will go in depth of Selenium WebDriver, how we can use Selenium WebDriver to handle different web elements, input tags, and then drop down lists, more like web tables, Ajax web applications, dynamic HTML. Then we will see like frames, mouse, keyboard events. So more in depth of Selenium WebDriver. Once you are comfortable with Selenium WebDriver, then we can start with the automation framework. There we will be covering few live projects as well, because we need to go step by step. So first we need to start with the basics, Selenium, Java, Eclipse, locating strategies, all those, executing on different browsers. So first we will be starting with the basics. After that, once we are comfortable with the basics, then we will go in depth of Selenium WebDriver, how we can handle different web elements, then different functionalities of WebDriver like that. Once we are happy with Selenium WebDriver, then we can enter into automation framework topics. So in terms of automation framework, we have total 10 chapters. We will be starting with page object framework, then data driven framework, then logging framework. After that we will see more in terms of management, like Maven to run the framework, Jenkins for continuous integration, then how we can generate some nice reports. Then we will look into Git and GitHub for source controlling. Then we will see some real-time tips. So this is how, like, we will see like this is how final automation framework is going to be, and these are some real-world tips like that. After that we will help you to set up the framework in your system, like whatever code, whatever framework, all those. We will have like a session to set up everything in your system, so that from that day onwards you can use that framework. Once you have framework in your system, then it's easy. You can go through different areas of the framework, you can practice, and also if you want to change to different web application like your company website or some other web application, it's going to be very easy. After that, finally we will look into Selenium Grid, Selenium server, distributed execution of the test cases. Then finally, Selenium resume preparation guidance, Selenium interview questions, then some real-time exercises. So at the end we will give you some exercises and you can do those exercises. We have support sessions. We are going to do 2 support sessions every week. They are going to be GoToMeeting live support sessions. So any exercises you can join those support sessions to clarify your doubts and for technical support. Now course facts. You are going to get the access to the video. So right now I'm recording this session as well, so you get lifetime access to the videos. They are going to be hosted on our website. Then in terms of jobs, assistance and guidance, yeah, we can help you with that as well. So if you want like any help with your resume, say you have got a job spec, you want to apply for that job, then resume preparation for that, you got an interview call for that job, helping with that interview preparation, we can do short mock interviews for you. Then if you want to like select a career path, we can advise on that. So you can pretty much use our live support sessions for that. Then in terms of support for your job or project, yes, we provide that. So we provide email based support and we provide like support through our live support sessions. So these are the course facts. So team, you can raise like if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat window. I will try to answer one by one. So any questions, team? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. I hope everything is clear to you guys. Okay, so I have a question. What about setting up environment like installation? Yes, in terms of installation, it is going to be very easy. You just need to install Java, Eclipse, and then just downloading some jar files. So yeah, it's going to be very easy, don't worry. There is one more question. Will you have a session to learn tool for performance testing? As of now, we don't have any course for performance testing, but soon maybe we may add. There is one more question. After the training, will we be ready for job? I can say it depends upon you. So in terms of training, we think like this. So it's like in terms of training, we will give you everything required for the job. So that is like 100% job is done from our side. Then the 100% job is there from your side. So you need to practice daily. You need to follow our instructions clearly. And then if you give enough time daily practice, then after the training, yeah, you will have enough experience to attend the interviews to start your job. And also even if you are doing your job, we have our support sessions, we have our email based support, so you can get back to us for support on your Selenium job or project. So don't worry, we are here to help you. So we are here to cover your back, so be happy. Okay guys, so let's get started with the automation and web testing basics. There is one more question. Will you provide real-time interview questions and answers? Yes. When you say about interview, it depends from company to company. From interview to interview, the questions are going to differ, but we are going to help you with that. So don't worry. So let's get started with automation and web testing basics. So the first one, why we need automation. in a company, normally you are going to have a QA team, then we have like manual testers. Then why we need automation? Because every time there is a new build, you need to repeat the software test. Let's say there are some bug fixes or there are some new features, so you need to repeat the software test to ensure quality, to make sure that the bug fixes are working, the new features are working. You need to test the software. Even for each release, say you are doing a new release, for each release you want to repeat all your existing test cases, all your existing features. You want to make sure that they are working properly on all supported operating systems or supported browsers, supported environments. So for a software or for a product, you need to repeat the test. There are multiple occasions like new build release, or you are doing a new release. There are multiple scenarios where you want to repeat the test cases. Manually repeating these test cases is costly and time consuming. That's why we need automation. If you want to manually repeat, like say you have your test suites, let's say you have like 1000 test cases. Every time if you want to manually repeat, it's going to take huge time. That's why we prefer automation. Once it is automated, you can just run them overnight or distributed. Say you can continue your work, you can run them on multiple machines in a distributed environment. Right now even you can hire like virtual environments and you can run them. So you can continue your work, and in parallel you can run those automated tests multiple times. So over the time, in long run, that is going to save a lot of time. Once automated tests are created, they can be run over and over again and again with no additional costs. So that's why IT companies are going towards automation. They are investing more and more for automation. When they are hiring, even for manual tester role, if you have automation experience, that's definitely a plus point for you. So we have seen why we need automation. So let's see what is automation testing. Automation testing involves making manual testing automatic using a software or tool. So we already going to have a manual testing process. So let's say you are testing 10 test cases or you are testing a feature. So we already have a manual testing process. Then we use an automation tool like Selenium, and then we automate those test cases. So when you say about automation testing, there are going to be multiple areas. You need to take care of all those areas for effective automation testing. So first thing is you need to identify the test cases to be automated. Let's say you have 100 test cases. In those 100 test cases, you need to see, okay, so what test cases I can automate, what test cases I cannot automate. So you need to prepare two buckets, one for automation testing, one for, okay, these test cases I cannot automate. Then once you have recognized test cases for automation, then you need to give them priorities. So this is like my P1 test cases, these are like my P2 test cases. You need to give them priorities. After that, you will start with the preparation. You're going to develop the automation test scripts. Then while developing, you need to set up the configuration as well. For some test cases, you need like pre-configuration. You need to set up few preconditions. For some test cases, you need to set up post conditions. So you need to do all those test configuration. Then you have to control the test execution as well. Let's say you want to repeat a test case for 10 data sets. You want to try a login test case. You want to repeat that like for 10 different types of users, say standard user, admin user, or like manager type user. So you want to control the test execution as well. Once you have everything, automated test scripts, then test environments, test preconditions, post conditions ready, then you have test execution control logic, then you can execute the automation scripts. So then execution part is going to come. In the execution, you want to compare actual results with expected results. Let's say you have a test case, but at the end you can't say whether it is pass or fail. Then the test case is useless. When you have a test case, you need to say at the end it is a pass or it is a fail. So for that criteria, you need to have like, this is my expected result, this is my actual result. You are going to compare those two and then say whether this test case is a pass or fail. So comparing actual results with expected results, that is must for a test case. Once the whole execution is done, all your test cases, your automation execution is done, then you need to generate the reports. You are in a team, so it is just not you. So once you have executed the automation, you need to send the reports to your team, to your manager. You need to send the status reports. So reports are also very important. Then coming to the automation framework. Automation framework is like core, is like heart of the automation. To do all the above steps, developing, then test environments, conditions, execution, reports, all those, you need a very effective automation framework to make sure that you are saving a lot of time, you are reusing the stuff, and you are not repeating. So having effective automation framework, that is going to save you a lot of time in terms of coding, in terms of reusing the things, in terms of adding new stuff. You should have an effective automation framework. Once you have the automation, even maintenance, you have automated a web page, but after a few months the web page has changed, few test cases have been changed, then the maintenance is going to come into picture. So automation creation, that is one time, but maintenance is like you are going to do that again and again. So that's why a automation framework should be really very effective to make sure that the maintenance is going to be very easy. So let's look into advantages and disadvantages of automation testing. Definitely automation testing saves time and cost. Initially it's going to take some time, but once everything is there in place, it is going to save you a lot of time and cost. Effective regression testing, you are going to have test cases and you can repeat them again and again. You can repeat them on different environments, so you can do that in a distributed mode. So just like have 4 or 5 machines, one for each environment, and then you can run them parallelly. And one more benefit is accuracy, so there won't be any human errors or human mistakes. So you are going to code everything properly. This is my expected result, this is my actual result, compare them. So you get more accuracy with automation. Increases test coverage. So once you have, like, let's say you have automated 100 test cases, then you can add more and more, like 10 test cases today, then 10 test cases after few days. You can add more and more test cases, and that will increase your test coverage. And one more benefit is comprehensive, so you can have like test cases from multiple features, so you can have different test suites, and then that increases your test coverage. Then it's going to be more comprehensive as well. One more good benefit is reusable. So once you have your test suites, once you have your automated test scripts, you can run them any number of times. And one more thing you should consider is automate your daily tasks. Let's say daily you need to send some status reports or bug reports or test reports. Whatever you have daily tasks which are time consuming, you should definitely consider them for automation. Let's look into disadvantages. So initially it is going to cost more because you need to develop the automation framework, you need to script for the test cases, you need to generate, like you need to have reporting framework. So initially it is going to take time and cost, but once everything is in place, it is going to be really easy. There are few more things. You can't automate everything. like acceptance testing or visual effects, graphics. There are certain areas we can't automate, and like one more area is like usability testing. So we need to consider those areas and we need to manually test them. One more thing is automation tool limitations. So if you are choosing a automation tool, if there are some limitations with the tool, you need to stick with them. So for example, if you take Selenium, Selenium is really good for web applications, but using Selenium you cannot automate Windows applications or desktop applications. You cannot use Selenium to automate Notepad or Microsoft Word, but any web application you can use Selenium to automate. So if there are limitations with the tool, like any bugs in the tool or there are new technologies and the tool won't support them, you need to wait. So you need to wait for future updates of the tool. So you need to stick to the tool limitations. Now let's look into manual testing. So when it comes to the manual testing, if you need to perform the tests like 1 or 2 times, then manual testing is good, because you don't need to consider the huge effort of automation. You need to test those test cases or those features 1 or 2 times, so manually test them, job is done. Allows to perform more exploratory testing. So when you are testing manually, you can quickly explore different areas. From one feature to another feature you can jump, from one area to another area you can jump. Based on your understanding and based on your judgment, you can explore different areas. You can quickly find bugs. With manual testing it's easy, just like open the application, do few steps, you can quickly find the bugs. Coming to disadvantages, very time consuming in long run. If you want to repeat those tests again and again and on multiple environments for daily builds, it's going to be a very time consuming process. And we need to consider human mistakes as well. As we are humans, it is very common, we may do mistakes, reporting something wrong or just assuming something. So human mistakes are possible. So comparing automation testing versus manual testing, in general the benefits of automation testing, they outweighs automation testing disadvantages or manual testing advantages. For testing over long run, automation testing is good. You need to automate your test cases, so that is good for long run. So far we have seen that automation testing is good compared to manual testing, and we can repeat those tests again and again. There is going to be accuracy, we can generate reports, all those. Now let's see automation criteria. You have a test case, whether to automate it or not. So let's look into that. The rule is like you have to use common sense. As a tester, you have been working in the company, you have been working on that product. So when there is a test case, you have to decide. There are few factors that you need to consider. For the test cases that need to be run 1 or 2 times, or the test cases which are really very expensive, go for manual testing. For the test cases which need to be run multiple times or very frequently, like every build, daily, weekly, go for automation testing. You will get a clear idea with this table. Okay, so when there is a test case, you need to decide whether it is automatable or not. So first you need to decide this thing. If it is automatable, then definitely you can go for automation. If it is not automatable, then you need to go for manual testing. If it is automatable, then you need to look into its frequency and importance. If it is very high or medium, then consider for automation. So look into this table. Once the test case is automatable, look into the frequency. Frequency is high or medium and time or cost is low, go for automation. Then frequency is high or medium, then time or cost is high, then go for automation. Even the time and cost is high, but look at the frequency. So instead of repeating manually multiple times, you can automate once. Coming to the low frequency test cases, you need to decide if you are going to repeat the test case 1 or 2 times, or the frequency is very low, then it is up to you. Based on the common sense and your judgment, you can decide. Let's look into few real-time scenarios. Let's say there is an e-commerce website, Amazon or Flipkart here in India. So there is an e-commerce website, then there are few test cases. Then how are you going to apply the automation criteria? A user registers for an account. This is going to be a very common test case. Normally before making the purchase, every user needs an account, so definitely go for automation. A user purchases a product, definitely go for automation, because that's the e-commerce web application. The main purpose is selling the products, so a user purchases a product, that is definitely must for automation. A user deletes his account. This is going to be a low frequency test case. Once you create an account on e-commerce website, it is very rare that you are going to delete the account. So it is up to the tester, it is up to you. We can decide whether to automate it or not. Now let's focus on web applications, because using Selenium we are going to automate web applications. So let's look into more about web applications, web testing, and then using Selenium what types of areas we can automate for web applications. So general question, what is a web application? In our daily lives we are using web applications like Gmail or Yahoo Mail and other e-commerce applications, other like news websites. Everything is a web application. A web application is an application which is developed using a browser supported language and accessed via web browser over a network such as internet or intranet. So we use a browser, then the HTML language or JavaScript language, those are used to develop the web applications, then we access them via internet. In terms of web applications, yes, nowadays everything is based on web applications, and even cloud is coming into the picture because they are easy to maintain, easily accessible, and if there are any changes you are just going to do at web server, and then the changes are available like whoever is browsing or worldwide. Even now with the cloud, everything is going to be web based. Now let's focus on web testing. It is a software testing area which is focusing on web applications. So there are few areas. When you compare desktop application and web application, they are totally different. There are different aspects you need to consider. So let's look into web testing areas. The first one is functionality testing. So this is very important. So you have the web application, you are going to test the whole functionality. You are going to test different features. So this is how my web application is going to work. These are the features, these are user stories. You need to test all those. Then you need to test different links available, different forms by fields available. You need to do cookies testing, database testing. This is the whole functionality of the website. Then usability testing. So let's say a new user is coming to your website. In terms of using the website, how easy it is for the user. So usability testing is really important. So you're going to test different things. Test for easy navigation. So user wants to go to a specific area, how easily he is finding links or navigation to that area. Then general spell checking, grammar, content checking, then a site search option to easily search different areas of the site. then sitemap, site help files. So this is mainly making the usability easy. Then interface testing, this is somewhat behind the scenes. When you talk about a web application, behind the scenes there are going to be multiple servers: web server, application server, database server. When you browse a web application, it is going to go to the web server. Then application server is going to have all your business logic. Database server is going to have like all your user data, web application data, all those. So in terms of interface testing, you're going to test the interface between those. So this is mainly done using API testing. We have different tools like SOAP UI or API testing tools. You need to isolate those servers individually and then test the communication between them. So this is like API level testing. The next one is compatibility testing. So this is a kind of functionality testing. So once your web application is functionally stable, then you are going to take few core scenarios. So let's say you have total like 1000 test cases. For compatibility testing, you are going to take 100 or 200 test cases, the core set of test cases, and then you are going to repeat them on different environments, on different browsers like Firefox, IE, Chrome, on different operating systems like Windows 10, then Mac, Solaris, Linux. Even now we need to consider mobile compatibility as well. So Windows Mobile, Android Mobile, iPhone, all these areas comes into compatibility testing. Under compatibility testing, we don't need to repeat the whole functionality. We are going to take core test cases or core features and then we are going to repeat them. This is one place where automation is really important. If you want to repeat manually, it is going to be a very huge task and it's going to be very time consuming. So instead of that, you're going to go for automation. So with automation, it is going to be very easy. You can have multiple systems with different combinations, then run them overnight. Even in the daytime as well, you can do your job and let the automation be running. One more area is performance testing. So there are different areas under performance testing. Load testing, so you're going to test with normal load. Say you have your web application, normal load is like 100 concurrent users or 200 concurrent users. So load testing is testing with that normal load. You have to decide about the load. So my website is going to have 200 concurrent users or 300 concurrent users. Based on that, you are going to design your load and apply to the website. Stress testing, that is like applying more load to the application. So let's say your normal load is 300 users, but with stress testing you are going to apply more load. So let's say 500 users or 600 users. Then you are going to see the performance of the application, whether it is loading very slowly or whether any pages are giving error or whether it is crashing. Even if it is crashing, how it is recovering. One more area is soak testing, that is like testing for long time. With 200 users or 300 users, with your normal load, you're going to test for 24 hours or 48 hours for a long time. When you talk about performance testing, you definitely need a tool. You can't do it manually because setting like 200 users load or 300 users load, you can't really hire that many people and generate the load. You definitely need a tool for that. So there are different tools available in the market like HP Load Runner or JMeter. There are different tools. One more area is security testing. So this is where it's like hacking or unauthorized access, all those comes into picture. So you need to make sure that your web application is really secure and robust. In terms of hacking or invalid logins, invalid inputs, or cross-site scripting, invalid authorization, all those are not going to happen. Security testing is really important. Nowadays you are hearing news about hacking or viruses. So Security testing is really important even for banks and financial firms. This is a must thing to do. So we have seen different testing areas for web applications. When it comes to the companies, most of the companies try to automate these areas. Definitely you should automate all the functionality testing, interface testing, regression testing, compatibility testing. So this is like mostly related to the functionality, and this is where Selenium comes into the picture. With Selenium you can pretty much automate functionality testing, regression testing, and compatibility testing. You can do a bit of interface or API testing as well, but Selenium is not a perfect tool for that. So Selenium is really good for functionality testing for web applications. Coming to performance testing, you need to use a tool like LoadRunner or JMeter. Coming to security testing, now there are tools in the market and you can use those tools for security testing. There are a number of tools available for web application automation like Selenium, even HP, UFT or LeanFT. But Selenium is open source and free. Even it has really good features, considering that Selenium is like on the top of the list and it is very widely used. These are the basics of automation and web testing. So any questions, guys? If you have any questions regarding automation criteria, advantages of automation testing versus manual testing or web testing, it's time. Okay, that's great. So let's get started with Selenium basics. So first let's see what is Selenium. Selenium is a very powerful automation testing tool for web applications, so we have been discussing about that. And also if you have any daily web-based tasks, you should definitely consider for automation. When we talk about Selenium, it is just not like one component, it has different components. Each component has its own specific functionality. So the first one is Selenium IDE. This is a very basic record and playback tool. It will help you to get started with Selenium. It is not good for real-time automation. Next we have Selenium WebDriver. So this is the component we are going to focus a lot, and it has really very good features and it has the capability for real-time automation. Then we have Selenium RC, which is old and deprecated, so it is not recommended to use Selenium RC. Then we have Selenium Grid, that is used for distributed and parallel running. So as we discussed earlier, Selenium will not work with desktop applications or Windows applications. It is mainly for web-based applications. Let's look into Selenium features. Open source and free compared to HP, QTP or UFT or LeanFT. Selenium is open source and free, so you don't need to pay for it. You get the source code as well. You can add your custom code, user extensions. Then Selenium provides record and playback feature, so you can use Selenium IDE for that. There is no record and playback feature in Selenium WebDriver. Using Selenium you can run tests on multiple browsers. That is going to happen using Selenium WebDriver. You can run the test cases on multiple operating systems. Selenium supports multiple languages like Java, C#, Python. It supports like up to 6 languages, multiple languages, so whatever language you are comfortable with, you can start automation in that language. But in general, Java and C#, they are like widely used. Can use with a number of testing frameworks. You can use like TestNG, JUnit, even other testing frameworks. When you are using Java, when you are using C#, you can use NUnit, MS Test, other C# related testing frameworks. Then one more feature, distributed and parallel running of the test cases. That is going to be Selenium Grid. So you are going to see the component left side in blue. So that's the component which provides that feature. Selenium IDE is the basic tool that gives you record and playback feature. Selenium WebDriver is the main tool for automation, to create automation frameworks. Selenium WebDriver is the main tool, and Selenium Grid is for execution, to distribute and parallelly execute the test cases to save the time. Selenium IDE is very useful if you want to quickly create scripts to test your web application. So you can start Selenium IDE in record mode and just record your user actions and playback them. Selenium IDE also has some basic developing and debugging capabilities, but they are very limited. Selenium IDE is available as Chrome and Firefox extension. Earlier it was just Firefox extension. Now it is available as Chrome and Firefox extension. As we discussed, it provides record and playback functionality. Selenium IDE has very limited features for real-time automation framework. If you are looking to automate 100 test cases or even 10 test cases, Selenium IDE is not powerful enough. So you need to go with a real-time automation framework, then you should consider Selenium WebDriver. In this course, we are not going to cover Selenium IDE, because even when you start with your Selenium job, most probably you won't be using Selenium IDE. So let's look into Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver was released as part of Selenium 2.0 to overcome Selenium RC limitations. As part of Selenium 1.0, Selenium RC was released. Selenium RC was based on JavaScript, and there were some limitations and drawbacks. To overcome that, Selenium WebDriver was released. When compared to Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver is more powerful, better, and good for modern web applications. Selenium WebDriver uses browser native commands to drive the browser, which is very robust. In terms of browser native commands, let's say you have opened google.com in Firefox. Then you have entered Selenium to search. Then you have clicked on search button. Whenever you are entering something or you are clicking something, that is going to trigger some browser native action. That is going to trigger respective browser native commands. Exactly, that's what WebDriver is going to do. As an end user, what actions or what native commands you are triggering in the browser, Selenium WebDriver is going to trigger that. So that's why it is really good. In terms of Selenium RC, Selenium RC uses JavaScript commands to trigger that. When you say search, it will send respective JavaScript commands for search. When you say click, Selenium RC will send respective JavaScript commands for click. So it is not good. That's why we should consider WebDriver. Even Selenium RC is deprecated now. But if you have like Selenium RC code, you can use WebDriver to run it. So in terms of migration, they have really done some good work. So if you have existing Selenium RC code, you can use WebDriver. You have to just do some code changes, then you can use Selenium WebDriver to run that. One more feature of Selenium WebDriver is it supports multiple languages like Java, C#, Ruby, Python. So whatever language your application is developed in, you can use that language. Because let's say your web application is developed in Java, then all the tools you use, the tool stack, the team, developers team, testers team, you are more related to Java world, you are more related to the open source world. If you are using like C#, then it's going to be Microsoft tool stack like Visual Studio and then MS Test or NUnit. So the whole team is more inclined towards Microsoft technologies. So that's why Selenium is really good. Based on the language your application is developed in, you can use that language related technologies to automate. Selenium WebDriver supports multiple browsers and multiple operating systems. We have already discussed that. Coming to Selenium RC. Selenium RC is predecessor of Selenium WebDriver. RC drives browsers using JavaScript. Whatever actions we do in the browser, we are going to code that using Selenium RC, and it will send respective JavaScript commands. So it is not a good way of automation. Coming to Selenium RC, even it supports multiple browsers, multiple operating systems, multiple languages. But due to the limitations and due to using JavaScript, it is been officially deprecated and Selenium WebDriver is introduced. Now let's look into Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid allows distributed and parallel running of the test cases. Selenium Grid has nothing to do with the development. You want to automate a test case, you want to write the automation code. There is no Selenium Grid. It is going to be using Selenium WebDriver. Selenium Grid helps you in running. You can distribute and run test cases parallelly. It helps in different scenarios. So these two are the common scenarios. Let's say you have really large test suite. Let's say you have 1000 test cases. You can break those test cases 300, 300 and 400. Then you can execute those in 3 machines. It is going to be very fast. That is one scenario, breaking down the large test suite. One more scenario is you have a test suite of 100 test cases. You want to run them on different environments. So you can have like 4 machines with different combinations, one with IE and Windows, one with Firefox and Mac, one with Chrome and Solaris. Like that you can have multiple machines and you can run the test suite. Selenium Grid helps in compatibility testing. In compatibility testing, it is mainly repeating few test cases on different machines. Those machines are going to have different environments. You want to test the compatibility. So that's one more area Selenium Grid helps you. When you run Selenium Grid, it works as central hub. So Selenium Grid is going to sit on the top, and then under the Selenium Grid you can create multiple Selenium WebDriver nodes. Then you are going to send all your test cases to Selenium Grid. It will distribute those to Selenium WebDriver nodes. We will look more into this when we go to Selenium Grid chapter. Now let's look into few real world scenarios. As an automation tester, you want to do this, then what Selenium component is good for you? You want to record and playback the test cases quickly, then Selenium IDE is good for you. Let's say you are close to the release or you don't have enough time, you can use Selenium IDE just to quickly record and playback. But in general, it is not good. You want to run test cases on multiple browsers, then you should go for WebDriver. You want to run the test cases on multiple operating systems, you should go for WebDriver. You want to do complete automation for your web application, then you should go for WebDriver. With WebDriver, you're going to select a language like Java or C#. With that language, you get the whole power of the high-level language. Because Java or C#, they are high-level languages, so you have a lot of power, lot of support in them. You can do file handling, you can do database handling, you can do strings, you can do all the programming power. And then WebDriver provides the power to drive the browser, to automate the browser, and combining those two and then a testing framework like TestNG, you have all the power to automate the web application. You want to run the test cases in distributed and parallel mode to save the time. Then first you need to have your automated scripts using WebDriver. Then you are going to start the grid. Under that you are going to start multiple WebDriver nodes. Then that grid will distribute the test cases. So if you want distributed and parallel running, you should consider Selenium Grid. So these are the Selenium basics and facts. Team, so if you have any questions, it is time for the questions about the course or about the Selenium. Pretty much we are done with the day 1. Tomorrow we will start with one second. I'm reading the chat window, so just wait guys. There is a question saying, can we use Selenium to integrate with HPALM or to manage the REST cases from one place? Because we are using Selenium and Java, we need to look for different tools. There are tools available, so you need to do integration with those tools. Because we are going to use Jenkins, then Git and GitHub Maven, we are going to achieve continuous integration. As a developer, do I need to develop Selenium Grid framework? Nothing much. If you want to use Selenium Grid, you need to do some coding, but you need to do some setup and probably some coding, but it is not going to be very huge compared to the WebDriver framework. What are the prerequisites for learning Selenium? I would say pretty much everything will be covered in the course. The Java, the programming basics, all those are covered in the course. Any further questions, team? Few more minutes, we are going to end this session. Then tomorrow we will start with one second. Tomorrow we will start with Java and Eclipse. We will look into Java installation, Eclipse installation, then configuration. So tomorrow it is going to be starting with Java and Eclipse. Any more questions, team? Do we need to know manual testing before going for this course? I don't think so, because while explaining you get some picture of manual testing as well, so don't worry. Let me explain you in terms of video tutorials. We are going to do like this. On our website we have video tutorials, but they are old. I'm recording each session, so every day I'm going to record the session. So once this batch is done, I'm going to upload the videos to the website. In future, if there are any changes to Selenium, after every batch we are going to do changes to the videos. If there are modifications needs to be done, like if there are changes in Selenium, or if there are changes to automation trends, or let's say there are new best practices for page object framework, or new best practices for Maven or data driven framework. So we are going to cover those in a batch, and then after that batch we are going to update the respective videos. At a time there is going to be only one set of videos. There won't be like videos for every batch, because there is no use. If you want to go back and see videos of 1 year old, there is no use. Every time you want to look at up-to-date videos. So on the website we are planning to maintain up-to-date videos. After this batch I'm going to upload these videos. Then after a future batch, if there are any changes, update with new videos. There is one more question: is learning manual testing plus automation will have an added value or advantage as a tester or for a job? Having manual testing experience is really good, because let's say in this way, before going to automation you need to make sure that the build is stable. You should consider automation after the build is stable. So let's say there is a feature. While in the development phase, you need to make sure that you are testing it manually. You are going to work closely with the developers, and then you're going to make it stable. Then you're going to automate it. So you're going to do manual testing until the build is stable, because if the build is not stable or a feature is not stable, you cannot automate it. So until a feature is stable, you're going to manually test it. Even for automation, you need to have test cases, and those test cases are going to come from manual testing, and that manual testing is going to happen from very early stage of the feature to the stable stage. Babita, what do you mean by we cannot access this training from a different PC? You can access the videos from phone as well. So you can watch the videos once they are uploaded to the website. You can watch them from PC, Mac, iPhone, tablet. You can access from that. We host videos on Vimeo, so it is a very popular platform, so you can watch from phone as well. Okay guys, I'm ending the session, so please email us if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.